Commence primary ignition.
This is where the fun begins.
What is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there, and welcome back to yet again another episode of Mando Talk, your home for Star Wars discussion, news, and Star Wars love, basically. This episode is presented by me, your boy, Caleb Keller. I'm back as the host, and joining me as the co-host, you know him, you love him, DJ Foster is back. DJ, say what's up to the peep.
What is up to the peep?
Peeps. Let me add some plurality to that.
Yeah, because we got more than one listening. We know that.
Yes, we do.
We have
Our
several.
Mando Talkian supporters are strong.
Yes, they are. I missed the Mando chat a little bit.
Yeah, the live chat.
Yeah, I missed it just a
Good
little
stuff.
bit. Just a little bit. Sometimes it got a little hairy, a little dicey, but hey, you know what? Doesn't matter. It was always fun to talk with everybody.
Absolutely.
So yeah, everything's good, man. And yeah, I'm doing the blurred background today. I had no idea how to do it. And to be completely honest, I already forgot how to turn it on. So I'm probably stuck like this.
Hey, that's
I'm being
fair.
honest.
All three of us got that feature going on. And yes, there is a third individual with us. We finally got the chance to make this happen. Zach Horvath is here as also another co-host. What up, Zach?
What up? Yeah, man. So excited to be here, to be back. Us three, the squad together finally.
Yeah.
And
this
what
is
a
the
show.
first time, right?
It is.
I think it's the first time we've tried and we,
Mhm.
you know, I think we had some technical difficulties, but what a show to bring us together because I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and we're specifically going to dive deep into Andor episode 5 titled The Axe Forgets. That is the most recent episode. So we wanted to make sure that, you know, as a Star Wars podcast listener, you've probably heard some analysis on all of the episodes up to this point. Even I have done a solo rundown of episodes 1 through 4, but we're still going to talk about episodes 1 through 4 here real quickly. You've heard from me, but really we wanted to, this first segment of the show, I wanted to give Zach and DJ an opportunity to give I asked them to give me their top 5 takeaways from episodes 1 through 4 so far, and then we will specifically dive deep into episode 5. So episode 5 will be our focus, but as we're all three coming together here to discuss this brand new Star Wars show that seemingly we're all loving, spoiler alert, maybe, I think we're all three loving it. We'll see what this takeaway discussion leads to. But yeah, I wanted to just start there. I mean, I don't care who goes first, who talks first. I don't know. DJ, Zach, who wants to go first? Share with me your top 5 takeaways so far.
Zach hasn't been here in a hot minute. Zach should go first.
Okay, Zach.
Okay, I'll go. So I'll just start off the top. Absolutely loving this show. It is exactly what I want from a Disney Plus show. And I've seen some people say this, that it's HBO feeling, and I agree. Now, is it House of the Dragon? No. But is it trying to be? No. It is Star Wars in this vein that I've always thought Star Wars could go in. And
I love that. Yeah.
The writing is just impeccable. So my first off the top, the writing, amazing. Every line, every syllable I'm hanging on. I want to know all the characters. I want to know exactly what they're saying because everything's important. We're going to talk about episode 5 today, but even though episode 5 was, you know, more dialogue heavy and more, nothing really happened, it was still very important. And I think it's going to pay off. My second thing is the characters, like so well done. And it goes back to the writing, but also the acting. Dude, Skarsgård is putting on a show. Okay. He is incredible in this show. When he's, changing from rebel leader into this like arts dealer artifact guy. It was just like, this is so sick.
Incredible. Yeah.
And Andor himself, I think, is so, fascinating. The Empire guy who's like now he's shunned or whatever is going on.
It's
with him.
Karn.
It's Karn.
Yeah. I don't even know his name. But
He's
guy,
Gabe Lewis from The Office.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
That's who he is, man, flat out.
He's amazing. Like, I know he's scheming. He's going to do something. But yeah, characters. Number 3 is the feel. Okay. It feels like freaking Star Wars, man. It doesn't feel like, I know the volume gets some hate. You can feel the difference. I'm sorry. You can. We've been watching House of the Dragon. I'll just talk about this. They've been using the volume, right? Or whatever they call it, stagecraft. Everybody's got their own thing now.
Right. Yeah.
And you can feel it sometimes where you're like, I know this isn't real. Like, I know it's not. But like when we're seeing the TIE fighter go like over the mountain and come back, that's sick. That's sick. You could feel it. So yeah, feeling number 3. Number 4 is just, well, I could see it. I missed it.
Oh, it's a TIE fighter.
There you go.
DJ with that blurred background,
dude, and it just like comes through. Awesome.
There's a TIE fighter on the cup. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I thought the overall, I guess, arcs of the show are working well for me so far. How they're doing this. I think it's 3 episode arcs, right?
100%. Yeah.
What they're doing.
Much,
so
yeah.
I really like the feel of that. It doesn't fall into the Marvel trap of having to freaking rush everything and just, you don't get time to breathe, where you got 8 episodes and you just got to burn through it. I do not feel that at all. It's almost on the other end where it's like, all right, we're slow burning. The burn ain't even burning, but they dropped the first 3. Brilliant move.
Brilliant move. Fantastic.
I would have been
move.
like, this is boring. If it was just the first like 1, I would have been like, this is cool. I'll watch more, but it's kind of boring. But I thought it was great. And then my last thing is just, I want more of this. That's not really a takeaway. I guess my takeaway is I want them. I don't need lightsabers. I don't need the Force. I don't need all those things always. Like, I want them, and they have earned their place. But the fact that this is so good and it has nothing to do with any of that, it's exactly what I've been wanting.
Well,
even more so than Mando, because Mando is still, very Star Wars lore heavy, and this is more just people in the world. Yeah, and it's fascinating.
Well, and I just want to add to your last point there real quickly regarding, this, the Force is missing, right, out of this show. But this show views its viewers as smart enough to make the connections up. For example, like the Kyber that Luthen gives to Cassian. Yes. We don't know. That might not be the correct Kyber to use to ignite a lightsaber. But regardless, as a Star Wars fan, when you see that Kyber, you still think of Jedi, lightsaber, the Force.
But they're not
the
going,
show's not
look,
addressing it.
This goes in a lightsaber.
It's a perfect balance. 100%.
Rogue One did the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Rogue One took it a step further with Darth Vader just wrecking shop.
Yeah.
Well, but even the Vader scene was not like space fantasy we've always seen. It was dark.
It was a different
and it
Vader.
Was it was this dude's murking people.
Yeah.
That was different. So DJ, you go. What you got?
It's funny. The first 3 things you ran down are basically the first 3 things I have. You talked about the story and the scope. I mean, it really is great. I mean, for me, I don't know if you said this exactly, but I can feel the tension.
Oh man.
I mean, it's incredible how much it builds, and that's not something that I've really felt in a Star Wars project since maybe when Grogu was captured in season 2. But before that, it's Rogue One. That's the last time I felt that kind of tension in Star Wars, and I can't even think of another time where I get that way. I become a kindergartner again when I watch Phantom Menace, and when Anakin can't get his pod race going, I feel that same kind of tension. But I can't think of other moments in Star Wars where I really feel the kind of tension that's happening here. And so It's great. It's great for storytelling. It's great for the slow burn, as you mentioned, Zach. I mean, it's impeccable. You talked about the character building. I mean, yes, a number of characters this show has at first seemed light. And now, as I think about it more, 5 episodes in, it's actually fairly heavy. But it's like crazy. It's like the best of the best minor characters, it's everybody you've ever seen in the background of a Star Wars project, and they're just suddenly in the foreground. And it's like, this is what's going through people's minds, as the Empire is taking over. Maybe not everybody, but I mean, I would say it's split 50-50, that's what people are thinking. It's just awesome. You also mentioned the look and the feel. The location stuff is incredible. The fact that they didn't use the volume or whatever, stagecraft, whatever it's called, the fact that they didn't use any of that, I don't think they used any of it. At least that's what I heard.
They're on location for a ton.
But it looked like some shots, maybe, but
yeah, like I could definitely see like whenever they're in their ships and use like the hyperspace and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you've got to do that.
Yeah, but it works. That works. Like no issue with that.
There's no problem with that. I mean, and by the way, the going into hyperspace at the beginning of, I think it was the 4th episode,
looked incredible.
My goodness, I know it's still hyperspace. It's still going. It's still jumping to hyperspace no matter what. But for whatever reason, that one hit different. I don't know why.
I think it was like a bigger front windshield.
It felt smaller to me.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It was like something different. It looked sick. I was like, this looks real.
It might be because the cockpit is so similar to the Falcon. Because I mean, there's
so
no doubt.
Close.
I don't know the classification for that ship, but there's no doubt it's got to be a YT model. I mean, it has to. Just the way it looks. It's got to be a Corellian. It doesn't matter, I guess. But that for whatever, it looked great. So that goes into the look and feel, like we've talked about. But here's my 2 that you didn't mention. And they're going to be a little off the wall. I usually provide the weird off the wall thing around here anyway. But the first one's this: Mon Mothma. Just simply put, Genevieve O'Reilly playing Mon Mothma. Dear Lord. I mean, I never thought I could care so much about a minor character. Like and let's think about that for just a second. What is she really in? She's in Return of the Jedi, has like 5 words. Okay. She gets like 1 episode of Rebels and then Rogue One and a deleted scene from Revenge of the Sith. That's it. And so now all of a sudden she's been thrusted to the forefront where the name Mon Mothma was trending on Twitter.
Yeah. I was going to say it's because she's not minor anymore.
No,
she's major.
And then I've told Caleb this privately. I'll say it now. I really think that she's the heart and soul of the rebellion. Like I've always thought, no, it's Bail Organa. It's Bail Organa. But now after watching Obi-Wan and thinking about what Mon Mothma's doing in this story, she's the heart and soul of the rebellion.
100%, I agree.
And here's my 5th and final for the overall takeaway: Easter eggs. We were not promised Easter eggs in this project. In fact, they were denied flat out.
They were like, no, we don't worry about that.
And now we're at the point where we're like, Indiana Jones's whip is in carbonite in the background. There's clearly Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, the rocks in the background. There's holocrons. There's Wookiee helmets. There's a freaking Star Killer. Sam Witwer's Star Killer, Force Unleashed in the back. I mean, they're pulling out some serious stops in this Easter egg world. And not only that, I told Caleb this, I think it's the 4th episode, maybe. I counted the number of planets or inhabitable locations that were mentioned in one episode. I think it was the 4th episode. It was like 17 or 18 planets that were mentioned, and I'm trying to find it. Here it is. 17 different planets were mentioned in one episode. Like, that's insane. And like some of them were like, we've heard of some. We had like Fondor. Fondor was the first one mentioned. Do you guys know where that first came from? Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Nice.
The fact that Fondor is in here, like they're pulling from all parts of the buffalo and they're not even hiding it.
Well, and the best part about all of that is I didn't even notice.
Right.
That's the best part.
I think that's a good way to put it.
And see, they're not slapping you in the face with all these Easter eggs. Again, they're treating the audience where they're at. Like if the audience is smart enough to recognize all those locations and those things, great. But if the audience isn't smart enough to recognize that, then it's not a big deal. Like,
so
like,
what?
Move
Exactly.
on.
And I don't feel like I'm missing out. That's what I hate about
Yeah.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
When they like lay it on thick, and I'm like, man, I have no idea what this is, and everyone's like,
Yes.
oh,
It's
this
like
one. It was just like, oh wow, that's
it's
really
like
cool.
when J.J. Abrams, before he did Force Awakens, all of his movies before that have their Easter eggs, all of them, and he has the same Easter eggs for the most part in every film he does.
Yeah,
like
R2D2 for one.
R2D2 in Star Trek, but then
Yeah.
the one that I'm most familiar with is Kelvin. That's his dad's name or his grandpa's name, and Kelvin Ridge is mentioned in Force Awakens, and I think it's mentioned another time
Cool.
in another sequel trilogy movie. But regardless, like, you get his Easter eggs and you're like, okay, big whoop. You know, people look for them because they're Abrams fanboys. I'm not an Abrams fanboy. Like, I like Super 8, but that's about it, you know.
In Star Wars, just proving your point on the planets, it just shows you how vast it really is.
Yep.
And how big and deep we can really go with this thing. It ain't just Jakku, and which they say Jakku. It isn't just Jakku, and it isn't just wherever else.
Tatooine.
Coruscant.
Yeah, Tatooine.
It's not Tatooine.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank God it's not Tatooine.
When they said Jakku, I actually went, ooh, I know that one.
Yep, I knew that one. And I need to point this out too, because you mentioned Tatooine. When I think Tatooine, I think Skywalker and I think Jedi. So I think Force. Coming back to the Force thing you said a minute ago. All right, just letting y'all in on my train of thought here. But you said that there is no Force element, you know, and that I love that, because yes, y'all mentioned kyber crystals and they're there in Rogue One and they're now in Andor. I love the parallels with that. I mean, just loving Rogue One. But I will say this: the Force is absent for sure. It's not there, but it is felt.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anytime the Empire is there, you can see the dark side creeping into the story. And then Cassian, of course, whether he realizes it at this point or not, he's a proponent of the light side. And I love that. It's subtle. It's not in your face, like, you know, the Chosen One prophecy. It's not that big. It's just, here it is. And it's just, you know, they're building a story, not around that, but I guess with that in mind. And that's where I think the cleverness of this writing is so good, to the point that we're going to look back at this, I think, hopefully, knock on wood, and we'll come back to this one day and say, this is some of the best Star Wars that was ever put on screen. I hope.
Yeah.
That's my hope. So
I think we're on our way to that.
I believe so too. And so that's kind of my biggest takeaways, and it kind of just retorting back to what Zach said a little bit, just so, because I love, first of all, it's nice to have a third person. But secondly, it's great to hear another opinion besides me and Caleb, because I mean, it's giving me more to think about and chew on personally. Just throwing that in there. That's free information.
I mean, that's why I love talking to you guys, because I'm just sitting there like, this is so cool. So I love talking about it. So.
Well, I didn't come up with takeaways, because our audience has had the opportunity to listen to me. You know, I did the 1 through 4 breakdown, but I came up with one that I tried to make, because I had a feeling y'all would touch on like the big takeaways, like character, writing, all that stuff that y'all touched on. So I had no doubt that y'all were going to get basically my top 5 takeaways, and y'all did. But I thought of one today as I watched this episode for a third time that I didn't think y'all would come up with. And so I'll go ahead and just share that one, and then we'll get into the episode 5 breakdown, or whatever you want to call it. Before this show came out, I remember me and DJ talked about it. And honestly, it may have been news out there whenever Zach was part of the show too. I can't remember when this came out, but the news of K2SO not being in this series was massive.
Yeah.
And it was also something that was massively disappointing to a lot of fans, me included, because that was one of the things that I was like, okay, cool. This Andor show, we're going to dive deep into Cassian and K2SO's relationship. We're going to see how they met, yada, yada, yada. The other takeaway that I thought of today, their decision to not put K2SO in this series has been incredible. That the Cassian character is not ready for K2SO.
Agreed.
Mentally and emotionally, all those different things. We're not there to that point
he's
yet.
not Cassian that we see.
100%. And I think obviously with the storytelling path that they're taking, you know, with season 1 being an entire year, and then season 2, each 3 episodes, each block is going to be a year. K2SO is coming in season 2. I have absolutely no doubt about that. Perfect, incredible decision to not bring K2SO into the story yet. That was a takeaway that I just thought of as I was watching it so far. I don't think K2SO would really match this tone and the vibe that the storytellers have laid at in front of us, episodes 1 through 5 so far. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
You're so
I
right.
do remember when that news came out, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
It came out the same weekend that we recorded my first appearance on the show.
Oh, there you go.
Because we talked about it. I think it was your brother. I think it was Jacob was like, "Oh, you must be really excited about, because I mentioned Cassian's my favorite Star Wars character. That's still true." And
I didn't know that, by the way. Or maybe I knew that and forgot that. That blows my mind.
I love Cassian. He's incredible.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
It's a long story of how we got there.
Yeah.
Say it another time, but I love his character. So when I was on there, I remember saying that, and I think it was Jacob, and he said, "Well, you must be real excited about, Cassian Andor series," because it was already announced at the time. And I was like, "Oh yeah." And then I think Nolan or maybe you, Caleb, I don't remember. Somebody said, "Oh yeah," and K2SO, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait for K2SO." And then we hit stop on the recording, and then the next day, it was announced he's not coming back for the first season of Andor, and I was livid. I mean,
it was a massive bummer.
I mean, privately, I was upset. I love K2SO was this breath of fresh air, and I never thought it could. A droid could be better, and I'd venture to say a droid hasn't really been better since then. That may just be me, but either way,
no, it hasn't.
Okay, cool, sweet. So anyway, Dio was a huge letdown. I'm just gonna say that in Rise of Skywalker.
I don't even remember what that is. So go ahead.
He's a freaking disc.
He's the cone
head.
No, I remember what he is. I was being sarcastic.
Oh, I could tell. But anyway, I remember that news very clearly. But I will agree with you that the fact that he's not here is actually good. It is good. It is a good thing.
All right, nice. Okay, well, there's all of our big takeaways for Andor episodes 1 through 4 up to this point. Now, obviously, we're going to dive deep into episode 5. I just ran through the episode as I usually do and typed in the big plot points as I went through the episode linearly. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to walk through this breakdown. We'll pause whenever there's some big things that we feel the need to discuss, and we'll go from there. So Andor episode 5, again, the title was The Axe Forgets, which we'll get to that line of dialogue here eventually in the notes, why this episode is titled that. Coruscant is where we open up. Surreal Karn is not handling life well at the moment as his mother prepares him some Captain Crunch with blue milk. Surreal's mother is wanting him to find, quote unquote, a prospect for the future and declares she needs to call Uncle Harlow for help regarding Surreal. So a couple questions that I have there real quickly. The quote of a prospect for the future. Is Surreal's mom wanting him to settle down? Is this a female that she's wanting him to find, or is this something that's entirely different?
I get job vibes.
Okay.
100%. That's what I get too.
I mean, first of all,
something plans, something.
Well, I got you.
You starting to think, why would anybody call their uncle to have them set up with a female? Unless you are,
unless Uncle Harlow is a player,
Alabama, unless that starts playing, I don't know. But when I think uncle, though, I've been watching The Sopranos. I've never seen The Sopranos.
Clearly, DJ doesn't watch House of the Dragon.
I didn't even want to bring it up.
Probably for good reason. What I'm learning right now, but I do like The Sopranos. I've been watching that, and there's some nephews, uncles. I like mobster movies, so I think, well, maybe he's going to set him up with a job. Ooh, maybe he's a mafia guy. Probably not, but I mean, it'd be kind of neat, and I think it'd be pretty cool if that was the case. But I think it's just a job.
I'll say his mom.
I think
so
right.
Annoying.
Oh yeah,
super annoying. She kept talking and talking. I'm like, no wonder this dude's in the Empire. He's like, I gotta get out of here.
Well, and I kind of felt. I know we're not supposed to feel bad for Surreal, but like I kind of did in this.
No, I think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to see like, no wonder this dude got joined the army, basically, right? Like he's like, I gotta get out.
As far away as I can be. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you see it when he opens the door and she slaps him. It's like, all right, this ain't a good relationship.
Yeah. Well, my second question that I had from there is, who is Uncle Harlow? We still don't know by the end of this episode. Are we ever going to figure out, is he connected to this bigger overall story that they're setting up? Any ideas on Uncle Harlow so far?
I saw one of the podcasters I was listening to. they speculated that Uncle Harlow is going to be part of the rebellion, and Surreal is going to like get to Cassian that way.
Yeah.
Join the rebellion and then try to get him. But I don't know. I don't put any weight to that. But I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know what this person is, but
yeah, I was trying to theorize of how Uncle Harlow could connect to the bigger story. The only thing is maybe, I know this isn't right. This is just an idea that popped in my brain, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Maybe it's Perrin. Like, that would be cool, that it's connected to Mon Mothma's situation, and then that way he would get connected to this whole rebellion idea or something. But maybe. I don't think that's a thing at all. I think it's going to be a completely brand new character that we haven't seen so far.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. It's got to be a new character. I don't think he'd make the switch though, because he's
Surreal.
He wouldn't do that, because he's just way too upset about the death of two very random people.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he sees why the Empire, like how useless and corrupt they are. That's
but he literally went forward to try to I don't know, avenge these guys' deaths. And I really think he was very conscientious of that as a character. And the whole idea of him switching, I just don't see it. I think because we ended the 5th episode, spoiler alert, with him looking at the hologram image of Cassian. I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, he looked like he wanted to murder him. That's the vibe I got.
That's what I'm saying. So he won't make the switch to the rebellion. I could see him, like you also said, maybe he goes that route to join the rebellion, but not join. Yeah. Because I don't know. Switching.
Well, because like, what's he gonna do? I don't know why he would go back to the Empire if he's at his mom's house. You see what I mean?
Right.
Like, and she says, "Do you have any prospects for the future?" He says, "No." I feel like he would say, "I'm going to try to get back in the army or whatever."
Well, I mean, leading a group of 12 men into a planetary situation where half of them end up dying, that doesn't look good on a resume.
Not great. After you've been told to leave it
not
alone.
To.
Exactly. Yeah. And then he gets, I mean, you're not going to get a job. So your only option is working at Uncle Harlow's butcher shop or whatever.
That's what I mean. So I don't know what his play is, but okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're great. I love this dissecting here that we got going on. All right. Number 2 here. Next up, we go to Aldani. Skeen has taken Cassian's gear, a request made by Vel, which leads to an interesting conversation between the two characters of Skeen and Cassian. Skeen has 2 tattoos, a crate head and a by the hand tattoo. I don't know what the symbolism here with those 2 tattoos are. DJ, did you pick up on anything of those 2 tattoos other than they're pretty cool?
I mean, I was more fixated on the chest tattoo with the barcode looking thing.
It made me think like he was a prisoner or something.
It looked very Nazi Germany to me.
Yes, it very much so Holocausty, and I'm okay if that's the like general feel of that guy's character. But no, I didn't get anything from his tattoos. I definitely didn't know there was a crate head. I missed that. So that's cool.
That's what they called one of the tattoos, but it didn't really look like the crate dragon that we see on Tatooine. So I didn't really get that part. Didn't really get that.
And did you pull, is this not, just real quick, is this crate head, is that actually how it's spelled? Or
yes, I believe so.
Because we've got 2 crates in Star Wars now. Crate the salt planet, crate the dragon.
So right.
Just making sure there's not.
It was spelled like the creature at least.
Okay. That makes more sense. Why would you get a tattoo of salt? But whatever.
Hey, you never know. Skeen, this is where the quote of the title of the episode comes into play. He says the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Now, I do think this quote, though, connects to his story about his brother eventually that he tells to Cassian, but we won't get to that part yet because, that's later in the episode. But it kind of connects to that whole idea because his brother was a tree farmer and they came in there and they destroyed all of his trees, cut him down with an axe, I'm assuming. So that's pretty cool. In this conversation, it appears Skeen is trying to read what Cassian's purpose is and his loyalties. Also in this moment, Skeen's kind of just giving Cassian an update on what kind of characters are in the camp, like what traits each of those individuals have that they're with. And then Cassian basically just tells him that he's there to win and walk away, which, I mean, that's the truth. Cassian's just telling him how he feels. And of course, later in the episode, we get even more truth from Cassian eventually. But any thoughts from you guys regarding that conversation before we move forward?
Skeen also brings up how they just built a bunch of cages. I thought that was an important little tidbit of information because it's
I missed
pretty
that too.
dark. It's pretty dark. When he's talking about the axe forgets,
Mm-hmm.
he says they just threw them in cages, threw up a bunch of cages, and I was like, that's straight up like Holocaust, like to date. You know what I mean? Like crazy type stuff.
Huh.
Well,
So,
I mean, it is an evil empire, and it's no secret that the empire is loosely based on Hitler and the Nazis.
100%.
I mean,
Sure.
it's very well known. I will say that as far as this tree thing goes, I'm reminded of Fangorn Forest in Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Nice.
Gimli walks in there with an axe, and Aragorn's like, Gimli, lower your axe. And he just and then he starts complimenting the trees, like they're really nice. I like the trees. I'm reminded of that. That's a silly thing. I realize that, but that's just what we're
I think the line's incredible.
it is a
Oh,
great
yeah.
line.
It's a great line.
It informs the feel of this arc for sure.
Yeah, it just hits
Absolutely.
you. You're just like, oof.
Yep.
You're so right.
A lot of the dialogue in this show
Yeah.
has hit me. It's been fantastic. All right, next up, Coruscant. Mon Mothma and Perrin have a daughter named Lita. Lita also isn't a fan of Mon Mothma's priorities as a senator, it appears, taking after her father, very much so in that sense. Mon Mothma doesn't have any support from the home regarding what she is trying to accomplish. That was kind of the update regarding the family vibes of Mon and Perrin and, of course, their daughter. Now, this, of course, gives us as an opportunity to just as a whole talk about this family situation that we've seen episodes 1 through 5. Obviously, Perrin has got to be the worst husband that we've ever seen portrayed in a galaxy far, far away. That's my
Darth
biggest
Vader.
takeaway. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, true.
Hey, at least
Okay,
Darth Vader, like,
I
you know,
digress.
loved his kids, I guess.
That's true. That's his redeeming quality. What are y'all's thoughts on Perrin and Lita and everything going on at the Mothma household, DJ?
To say that he should fall in the lava pits of Mustafar is an understatement. As
enough.
far as terrible TV dads go, he's right up there with the worst. And I mean, he just, I don't know what else to say. If he was killed off, I'd be okay with it. He's
I'd be
a tool.
cheering.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. Mon Mothma, all right, they get in the car, they're driving off, they're going wherever they're going in this last episode. I don't know where they're going. And they may have said it. I don't remember. Whatever. She is dressed to the nines.
Mhm.
That is the best outfit look Mon Mothma's ever had in Star Wars. And Homeboy doesn't even compliment her. I bet he didn't hold the door open for her when she got in the car too.
So does she have the money or does he have the money?
I mean, she clearly brings in the money.
I get the vibes. She got the money.
Yeah.
And
he's straight up a trophy husband. And I
he's
can't
a
stand it.
scumbag, dude.
No,
and he doesn't even do anything. And
I hate
you know,
I hate to
you're a
see
scumbag
Lita
when
being. I hate to
don't
see
have to.
Lita being influenced by that.
exactly. That makes him worse. That immediately makes me turn to him and go, this is your fault.
Yep.
Because he's just chirping in the rafters.
Mhm.
I hope somebody punches
Hate that
him.
guy. I hope Mon Mothma punches him.
Punch.
Like, you know
punch and
what?
leave. You know what? Yep. I'm gonna go hang out with Bale now.
I'm going to the rebels, baby.
I feel
Yeah.
That could happen. Like legit could happen, by the way. Like, I could see her just being like, you know what?
What's his name again? I don't even want to remember his name. I dislike him so much.
I don't know.
Maybe that's a good thing. We're supposed to hate this guy, clearly.
Perrin.
Yeah, the actor's great.
Perrin. I don't know anything
Perrin.
about the actor. Perrin. Yeah. Let's make Perrin a pinata and have a party.
Yeah, the actor's great because he's got a very punchable face. You know,
There you
I
go.
would agree with that.
There you go. Well, we do end up seeing them later in the episode, so we'll get one more update regarding their family dynamic. But we do then flash to Aldani, where Cassian has some Dre milk from Nemec, where they have a discussion regarding tech that predates the Empire. Nemec shares his disliking for reliance on Imperial tech and feelings of losing freedom due to the Empire. Nemec views Cassian as his ideal reader for a manifesto that he has created. So obviously, Nemec is 1000% committed to the rebellion cause. He has no love for the Empire. What were y'all's takeaways from this scene? I loved it personally because it was just another look at just this average person in the galaxy, their viewpoint on the Empire and basically everything that's going on.
I saw on
go
Facebook
ahead.
that he sniffs his drink every time he takes a drink. Like when
Of
he's
the
off,
Dre milk.
like every beverage he's had a drink of in this show, he does this right here. Every time. And I thought, okay, so maybe he's been poisoned before.
Ooh.
That was my first thought, honestly.
That's
Other than
deep
that,
analysis.
it came from a GIF or GIF, depending on your pronunciation, in a Facebook group. So there you go. But no, I got nothing else on that.
Okay.
I thought so. I'm gonna get deep on this.
Do it.
This showed me, number one, he's dead. He's gonna die. This dude's gonna die. Like first dead.
Yeah.
Number two, it shows me how this is the first time ever in Star Wars where I've thought about the rebellion as a negative. And what I mean by that is like he's talking about a manifesto and he's talking about, these schemes and this mind share and you're the reader for me. Like that is all like could be bad stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and that's that I was like, okay, we're getting into like culty like level, like bring it back. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you can be for the rebellion, but we have to remember why we're doing this. We don't just hate the Empire, right? And so it just made me think of like, all right, he's getting into like the, mind brainwash level here. So I thought that was interesting because I've never seen it. It's always been Empire bad, rebellion good. And that's even what they're kind of doing here. But when he said manifesto, I was like, all right, what are we doing here? So
am I missing something on the word manifesto? Because I thought a manifesto was just a glorified list of things.
It's basically like it is that, but it's a way to convey your thoughts and try to get the reader to be behind you. I believe that's what a manifesto is.
According to the Oxford Dictionary, here we go.
Yeah.
A manifesto is a public declaration of policy and aims, especially one issued before an election by a political party or candidate.
There you go.
I subscribe to the cult theory.
So we were both right. Yeah.
I'm going to subscribe to the cult thing, though. That makes sense. It's a little culty.
You see what I mean? Like he's getting into the extremist, like, all right, like, whoa, we're good. Okay,
I'm not drinking that milk. I didn't interpret it that way at all. I thought it was like
I do now.
I guess I didn't like dive into the meaning of manifesto. I just thought he had a list of all of these ideas, kind of like DJ mentioned it first.
Yeah.
Well, the manifesto like this that goes to my mind is like there's like the Soviet Union, like
wow,
like what's his name? Dang it, the dude who started. Yeah, well, before Stalin, that guy. Like Karl Marx manifesto type.
Yeah.
Like that's where my mind went. I was like, ooh, all right. Calm down.
Man, that's okay. Now I'm thinking World War II, Hitler's Mein Kampf.
Man.
That's a manifesto.
I didn't realize that though. I'm learning this right now.
Yeah.
That's okay. I get where you're at, but man,
and he's like a young kid, and it's like they're molding the young kids, and I was like, that's a little wrong. But
it's probably it's probably a good thing. This guy's probably gonna die. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like this dude's gonna start like killing families just for the rebels.
He'll run off with Saw Gerrera, and he'll die off with Saw Gerrera.
No, I think he's getting blown away. I think that's what's happening to him.
Man.
Yeah.
I would hate to see because he's such a sweet guy.
That's why he's getting murked, man. First guy, bam, dead.
Well, okay, so.
Great. That's
something that Tony Gilroy has said in a quote that like basically don't get attached to any of these characters. We definitely have a hit list on this show.
Most of them are dying. Yeah.
Two of these characters are making it out. The rest gone. Dead.
Yeah, I kind of agree with
that. Mon Mothma, Cassian Andor. That's it.
Well, I just meant like the little group, but yeah, you're probably right. Like they're all
Luthen's gonna die, and this whole crew is gonna die.
The little turncoat guy dead.
Yes, the officer, he's gone.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Young kid dead, Skeen dead. Maybe not. Andor may like save him.
I don't want Vel to die because I kind of like her character.
She'll survive.
I think she'll survive.
Also, can I get a hold of one of these ponchos?
Oh yeah, dope.
Oh, they look great.
Don't they?
The Andor poncho, dope.
Andor poncho coming to Disney parks soon.
Hey, you joke.
Don't put it past them. It's coming.
I'll buy it. I don't care. I'll wear it in the swamps of Florida. Whatever.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to dig into the manifesto because I was like, oh, golly. And he's talking about how it's like star path versus mind path. Fascinating.
Man, that is a deep dive.
I was laughing there for a minute anymore.
I was laughing there for a minute as y'all were going back and forth with that. It's just wild to me that we're dissecting and diving into dialogue to that level in a Star Wars show.
Well,
That
that's
just
what I
means
mean.
that we've
The
got
writing
incredible
is
storytelling
so
going.
good, man. That's why I say I hang
Yeah.
on every word, because it's just, whoa, so believable. Go ahead.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're still on Aldani. Cassian is questioned how to get the freighter out from the Imperial base, and it seems like the crew really needs him for this mission to go right, because basically they have no clue how to get this part of the mission done. It seems like Cassian then demands he flies it after it appears the others are clueless regarding this part of the mission. I loved this just because Diego Luna was fantastic in this scene as far as him demanding, yeah, I'm going to be flying this thing. Clearly, that's not the case. Then y'all can just continue on without me. Absolutely love this scene. Any takeaways from you guys regarding this scene?
Good acting for sure. Yeah, real good acting.
It was almost funny. I'm like, well, did you guys think about everything? Like, come on now.
100%.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, continuing on in Aldani, the crew has a model created to run through the plan as Cassian is beginning to practice how to look like an Imperial soldier, led by Terriman. Cassian points out that they are marching incorrectly based on which hand they shoot with. Again, another fantastic scene by Diego Luna. And then also while practicing, an Imperial TIE fighter pulls a Pete Maverick Mitchell, comes flying through the valley as super close as it possibly can as the crew rushes to cover everything. The sound of a TIE fighter is top tier noise in Star Wars, in the Star Wars franchise. Like, it's almost as good as the ignition of a lightsaber and the clashing of lightsabers. I absolutely loved hearing the TIE fighter that closely. What did y'all think of this moment?
Zach?
Easy. Okay. Incredible throughout. Like what them walking and marching around, and he's like, look, you're left-handed, you're right-handed, but you shoot with, or you're left-handed, but you shoot with your right. Like it just proves to you that Andor's there for a reason. Like that's why he ain't just another guy.
Yeah.
Like, he ain't just another no-namer doing this job. And that's why that makes Skarsgård's character even cooler, because like he knew this dude's legit. And when he's telling him, like, no, you need to be on this side and you do this. And like, I know how to freaking walk. It was so good. So good.
I think it lends to how we know that he'll become a captain.
Exactly.
By the time we get to Rogue One, for sure.
Like, you see, this dude he needs to be up. Like, he needs to be leading people, not
in the
other way around.
Yeah. He's learning how to lead from the back instead of the front or the middle right now. I mean, he's in the back, and it's good. Good leaders know how to lead from the front, the middle, and the back.
Well, it's just like basketball. Like good players know how to score without getting the ball.
Absolutely.
Like,
and those assists matter at the end of the day. And right now, Cassian's on his way to one of the best assist records in all of Star Wars, I guess, maybe.
There you go.
He gets the assist for blowing up the Death Star. I will say this, though, back to Caleb's thing about the TIE fighter. Do y'all know what the TIE fighter sound is based on?
I feel like I've heard this before, but I'm not remembering it off the top of the dome.
It's an elephant shriek.
I believe that 100%.
If you listen to an elephant, like, I'm not going to do it, but if you listen to an elephant shriek, it's like, that's what it is. So if you can,
it's a horrible sound.
Yeah, it's a horrible sound. But when you place it behind a spaceship, like,
especially one that's looming overhead and gets really close to you, it's scary.
Yes, but it is primarily based on an elephant. So, yeah.
I like the use of that word, scary. I was legit scared for
it was scary
when that thing came flying in.
I made the mistake of getting on Twitter. I made the mistake of getting on Twitter before I watched the episode because I didn't think about it. And so I'm scrolling, and then it was like, I am terrified of TIE fighters. And I was like, oh, dang it. I just ruined that for me. So when I saw them in the valley, and it was kind of like, oh, here comes the TIE fighter. But then it freaking played Jaws. Like, it reminded me of the dragon in Reign of Fire. I don't know if y'all have seen Reign of Fire with Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey. Solid post-apocalyptic movie about how dragons take over the world. There's that for you. But anyway, and it takes place in this century, so that's pretty cool too. But anyway, all that to say, it reminded me of the dragon playing like cat and mouse in that movie.
Yeah.
And that's what this TIE fighter was doing. It's like, oh, we know you're here. We got our eye.
I thought they were going to start shooting. I was like, oh, there ain't gonna be no mission.
Like,
they're getting blown up.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting taken out. I thought that's what was about to happen, because he was coming down like
well, and then
I
had to remind myself, there's still these And I think an Imperial officer calls them Donnies civilians that are traveling to this location to witness the Eye of Aldhani here soon. So surely these Imperial TIE fighters wouldn't just open fire on just
what I was afraid
civilians.
of, they said like, "Oh, hide the guns."
Sure.
I thought maybe they saw
spotted
something,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh no, like this ain't good." But
I also love too, and I know I'm jumping ahead here in the notes just slightly. I loved the directorial decision. That same TIE fighter was our transition to the next scene with Lieutenant Gorn at the base that is then flying over that water. And it has that, the water splash onto the camera lens. Gosh, I love that so much. That was movie quality. And I was pumped just from that one small, subtle directorial decision. Anyway, I got too excited for that part.
No,
Editing.
I loved it.
Editing ought to get you excited every now and then. And that's a good example of it for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, continuing in the episode, we get a look at Ferrix for the first time since episode 3. ISB officer Blevin is on location and instructs Captain Tigo to get up and running on Ferrix before his next staff meeting, which, by the way, make Captain Tigo Game of Thrones #4 actor in this series. I'm absolutely loving the Game of Thrones connections here. But basically, Blevin instructs Tigo to make sure that you're up and running for the next staff meeting and that the headquarters are going to be in that local hotel that they've got set up, which just gets me excited because I'm assuming that means we're going to get, I'm blanking on her character's name, but the female character from episodes 1 through 3, I'm assuming we're going to get her later in the show since they're setting up a plot to continue.
That was going to be my question here is, what are we doing on Ferrix? Like, why do I care anymore?
Right.
You know? Like, I want to know what they're doing.
What was Homegirl's name from the first 3 episodes?
No clue.
No clue.
That's another thing about the show that's hard is that I don't know all the characters' names.
Well, they don't say them once and then that's it.
Well, I mean, it's good for you have to immerse yourself in the world. When you think about it, it's like when you say Han over and over and over again.
Oh yeah, Bix, you're right.
Bix.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Bix, she's that actress, she flat out said, "Oh yeah, I'm not done. I'll be back. You just watch, keep watching. I'm coming back." So I believe that. I believe she's going to come back into this story at some point, whether it's this season or the next. But
I figured they would because his mom or whatever is still there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he's got to go back for his mom at some point. No,
and the droid.
No good son leaves his good mom behind.
That's right.
Unless you're Karn, and Karn's mom kind of sucks. So
I was gonna say,
and I was just glad to see Ferrix again personally because I do know, dissecting the trailers like we do here in Mando Talk. I know we're going back to Ferrix at some point, so I'm glad that they're they're just sprinkling that in this episode to remind us. Oh, don't worry, we are still going back.
And it's going to be an issue when Andor has to go back if the Empire is getting heavy onto Ferrix. Like not good.
It's gonna be. Oh, it's leading up to something good. That might be the final. Could it be the final block of this season of him going back to Ferrix? Maybe that's the final 3 episodes.
Oh man,
could be.
It'd be good. I mean, because
then his mom dies and it's all sad. And
dude, don't even do that to me because like
it's coming.
Even Darth Vader went back for his mama. I mean,
yeah, she did. So there you go.
Now I'm sad. Move on.
Okay, well, we go back to Aldhani, and of course, this is that scene that I was talking about earlier, with the TIE fighter then flies in, and we are led to assume that that's the same TIE fighter that just bypassed the crew in the valley. Lieutenant Gorn, very convincing as this Imperial officer. It seems that, and this is just me reading some dialogue here, this isn't a direct quote, so I may have interpreted this incorrectly. Help me out if I did. It says it. In my notes, I've got, it seems the Empire is considering tearing their base down and moving the air base there in a big project since there aren't many Donnies to worry about anymore. So are they thinking of moving a big project in, or are they just scrapping everything on Aldhani and moving a big project to somewhere else? I wasn't 100% sure about how to interpret that dialogue.
I interpreted it as tear it down and build a new headquarters
at that location.
Too. That's how I interpreted it. Yeah.
That's what I got. Because there's nobody really left. We can just build a big one.
Yeah, and nothing's sacred to the Empire. So they don't care about the memorial or the monument there, the altar, whatever you want to call it. that the Donnie people are going to. By the way, my first name is actually Donnie, so it's kind of cool that my name is now Star Wars canon
There
twice.
you go.
I'm now Donnie and DJ. Just gotta get Foster in there somewhere. But anyway, all that to say, I think that they're nothing sacred. They don't care. I mean, Palpatine made the Jedi Temple his personal imperial palace after Order 66.
What a power move, by the way. Love
Absolutely.
that move. Love that move.
I mean, it's the Jedi's own fault. They built their the temple on top of a Sith temple, so that's on them.
Yeah.
But
what goes around comes around. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's some legitimate, story written karma right there for sure. But anyway, all that to say, nothing sacred, and I interpreted that they're gonna build something there.
Same.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't 100% sure. But I love the dialogue, and this scene on a second and third watch hits different when later in the episode Vel explains to Cassian this dude's reason for what he's doing or why he's doing the things that he's doing. So, but continuing on in the episode here, we go to Coruscant. Dedra, love this character, by the way. Dedra is fixated on the Starpath unit as her wingman believes she is onto something. A great quote here from the wingman. I don't know what his name is, but he says, "It's too random to be random." I love that. Dedra then downs some medicine as the two prepare to look at 2 more files to begin to connect the dots. Dedra's onto something. And again, not a lot of stuff with Dedra in this episode, but a subtle reminder of she's about to make some big plays and some big moves. So I love this moment. DJ, how did you interpret this scene?
I immediately thought of Star Wars Rebels. As soon as they introduced the ISB, I immediately thought of what's his name from Rebels, whose name I'm suddenly forgetting. Oh man, I can't remember his name. Callus, Agent Callus.
Oh, okay,
he's ISB.
Well, see, anytime I hear ISB, I think of Moff Gideon now.
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's great, because Moff Gideon may be, he's younger, but he may be somebody we could potentially run into in Andor. But the reason I think of Rebels is this part of the Star Wars canon takes place a year before Rebels begins. So with this randomness that they're finding, it's pockets of rebellion, and Ezra Bridger is 13, 14, hanging out on Lothal right now. And when he's doing his thing, what's Kanan's coming to Hera, and they're going to get a hold of Sabine and Zeb and Chopper, and they're doing their thing right now out there in Star Wars. And, we're a year away from that happening. So I'm actually thinking about what's going to happen in the future. I'm not really in the moment in this moment, which I actually appreciate being taken out of the story here, because we're getting to see at least one person seeing that something's coming. And then, by the time the Empire actually gets a whiff of it, it's basically too late until Thrawn shows up in Rebels. But, all that to say that there's this incredible thing. We're marching forward slowly. Man. And it's a slow burn. So that's where my mind went.
I like that.
That may be deep, but that's just where I'm at.
No, I like the idea of Dedra like potentially figuring all of this out and nobody will listen to her. Exactly. I love that. Like, I would love that character moment for her, and also just the galaxy building aspect of all of that. Zach, what did you think of this moment?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. We've already seen it. She's figuring it out, and they're like, shh, like, don't care. Don't care. Yeah. So she's connecting the dots like big time. Like he says, it's too random to be random, and that's exactly what's happening. And I think, I don't know what her storyline is going to be, but I don't think it's going to end well, number one. And also, like you said, it's fun. If you did watch Bad Batch Bando Talk, I'm obsessed with learning about what the Empire's doing, because all we ever get is Rebel stuff. And I want to know what the Empire's doing and how these people are feeling. And I love getting these little snippets of, it's weird to think about it like this, but these people are just kind of doing their jobs, right? They're just kind of detectives or cops. He even says like, yeah, I know this doesn't come with more pay, right? But I want the title. So it's weird to think about the Empire as just a job. But seeing her kind of connect the dots, it kind of gives me an eerie feeling. I'm like, oh, I don't want you to know. I mean, I know how this goes, but it's like, you're so close to the fire. Like, I don't want you to see it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Maybe your fatherhood talking.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm like, just don't do this, man. It's not gonna go well. I'm telling you.
I could see her defecting when it's all said and done. Though,
you know, I almost said that, but I thought y'all would go, no.
Well,
I could see it.
You kind of convinced me though, because up to this previous episode, I really wasn't sure if she would or could. And hearing you kind of say, and then me, of course, throwing out the idea of no one listening to her, and you basically affirming that, it's kind of like, well, if no one listens to you, I mean,
like I said, it's already happened.
Yeah,
I mean, she literally says, "What am I doing here?" She's like, this is,
yep.
You know,
I mean,
apparently she's good at whatever she was doing before. So we know she's a good.
Yeah. Portuguese thinks very highly of her.
Yeah. So we know she's legit. Maybe she turns. I don't know. Fascinating.
I'd like it if she did, but she would have to die. That's the only problem.
I mean, yeah. It's going to be, I think
she's not in Rogue One. She's not in Rebels. I mean, she's.
Well, and again, that could be another character moment where the Empire just never gives her that opportunity to get to those levels. So she could still survive. And they just never give her a seat in those big film scene moments.
You know, you think about it like The Big Short, where the movie where they like figured out the housing bubble before it happened, right?
Yeah.
Same idea. Great movie. But, you know, same idea here where she's figuring it out. She's like, this is not random.
100%.
No one's, we're the Empire, baby.
Well,
who cares?
And we've never seen a single one of those ISB officers. And I don't think every single one of those ISB officers are going to die. I think they're just
they're
characters that are in the background. We're just having an opportunity to see them. So I don't think it's necessarily written in stone that Dedra dies.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if she defects, if she doesn't defect, there could be a moment where she's like, well, I'm out of here. And they're like, no, you're not, you know, or whatever.
I think either way she's dead.
Her story does end in a dead end. It just it has at this point.
I'm convinced.
Okay,
you know?
Yeah, I'm convinced this show is going to have a lot of death.
Yeah,
just to add another layer here, though, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with what y'all are saying, but just bringing another perspective. This show is challenging us in thinking outside the box regarding the size of this galaxy. It is entirely possible. I know this isn't going to happen. It's entirely possible for these characters to all live. They're just small characters that are never brought into the Skywalker saga. It's like 1,000% possible that's the case. But I do agree with you guys that it's possible. That's more likely that all these characters die.
I have to remember that too, because I forget that not everybody is relevant to the Skywalker saga.
Mm-hmm.
So you saying that actually keeps my thoughts in check on that, because every time I think, oh, they have to die, it's because it doesn't work with the rest of the story. But they don't. You're right. They don't have to. You're absolutely right.
And I'm coming from the perspective of I'm not even thinking about the Skywalker saga. I'm just thinking about what a dictatorship like the Empire would think of someone like this. Like, how dare you think, this could happen to us? So that's kind of where I sit on it. I don't know. Very interesting though.
Hey, I like that discussion us three just had. We really did some dissecting there. Okay.
Clip that. Put that on TikTok.
Well, we're kind of talking about more than just this episode, right? Like this is that's the season arc of her.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I love Dedra. And I think that conversation just brings to light why I'm enjoying that character so much. Okay. Aldhani. The crew is enjoying one more night at the camp around a fire. They toast to the rebellion, and which was cool, of course, as they watch the model they created burn. Now, for me personally, I took that as some foreshadowing moments there. The model getting burnt to a torch. I have a feeling that because I'm assuming it's happening in next episode.
And guess who built it?
Episode arcs.
Ooh. They said the kid built it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude!
I told you, man. No. He's getting killed first or last. First or last. That's him.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Well, the sun ends up rising. The crew marches out. They're off on this mission. But yeah, definitely foreshadowing going on. Again, a very quiet, subtle scene, but again, slowly building this incredible tension that they're just knocking it out the park with in this series. All right, on to Coruscant. Cyril's mother is talking to Cyril about Uncle Harlow, not believing police work was for him. Cyril is clearly annoyed about being there. We've already addressed the question of who is Uncle Harlow. We've already kind of addressed this family dynamic going on too. So is there anything else y'all want to mention about this scene?
His mom still sucks regardless, but I mean, that's it.
Fair enough. All right, on to the next. Aldhani. Vel continues to question Cassian regarding his knowledge of the mission as they're, on their hike. Cassian asks why Gorn is getting involved with a mission like this. And this is where we get the background of why Lieutenant Gorn is willing to do the things that he's willing to do. Quote, he fell in love with a local woman and lost a promotion. Then he lost the woman. Then he lost his taste for the Empire. And this is a fantastic line. Everyone has their own rebellion. That is like the thesis of this series so far. I absolutely love that. DJ, thoughts on this bit of dialogue from Vel?
Okay, buckle up.
Oh, we're diving deep again. Let's go.
I think so, because this is one of those things where everybody has their own version of a rebellion. And I think that is also true in real life. That's a different topic for a different day. But in Star Wars, let's think about this. Saw Gerrera, he rebels initially because the Confederate, systems, the separatists have taken over his homeworld and they kill his sister. Then Order 66 happens. He begins to rebel against the Empire right out the gate. So for him, it all traces back to his sister dying. Luke, why does he rebel? Obi-Wan dies. Why does Leia rebel? Other than the fact she was born into it, she realizes the evil. Han rebels essentially just because he doesn't want to admit that he cares.
More money
people.
in it.
Yeah, there's more money, but ultimately he cares
Yeah.
about people.
Yeah.
You look at all these characters, they all have their reasons for rebelling, and you see that in Andor as well. What that's going to lead to is a unifying of the official rebellion. Mon Mothma is going to have that in this show. She is going to have a reason to rebel, and it's going to be first, unfortunately, against her own family. And as much as her husband sucks and as terrible of a daughter as she has currently, and as she needs to be, never mind, but she needs to just go away. Okay, let's go. She needs to be grounded for a long time. I'll leave it at that. But and when you're going to see Mon Mothma have her own rebellion personally. She's already having it privately. It's going to become very, very public later on in Rebels, as we know. But this is going to speak to these characters and how it leads to Saw Gerrera coming into the mix. We know he's coming.
They've already name dropped him, right?
They did. Yeah,
they did.
In the 4th episode, I think.
Awesome.
And
in the ship. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The kid, when the guy sneaks up behind him with the knife.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So two mentions or subtleties at least.
Yes. So at any rate, though, everybody's got their own reason for rebellion. If you look at Solo, a Star Wars story, Emphas Nest, she rebels because this village that she's with, all their tongues were cut out by the Empire, or not by the Empire, by Dryden Voss and what's crud, I can't remember the name of that, Crimson Dawn. Okay, so you've got all that thing. So everybody's got the reason for rebellion. So we're seeing all of it's being knitted together into the biggest quilt, if you will, that's ever been sewn. And it's all these threads coming together in a very strange and interesting way. And I think that, that's one of the reasons why we're seeing, these things happen, especially this one little line, like Zach said earlier, hanging on to every word. These are words you have to hang on to, because the thread of how that exists with other characters and other stories across literally all of Star Wars, that line exists across all of Star Wars. It's incredible. You can trace it to Qui-Gon, you can trace it to Rey, you can look at all of it, and it's right there. So anyway, that's my deep dive. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
My deep dive is like, love always gets you in trouble. That's my deep dive.
Good perspective.
I say it all the time. You watch a TV show, dude falls in love, goes bad after that. Yep. Every time. You look at life, you fall in love. No, I'm just playing. But like, seriously though, like,
it's good.
The heart gets in the way. And that leads us to the rebellion thing, where like you're talking about all these people getting their family members or whoever get killed. Hey, your heart's leading you. You're even though it's sick and dark, it's Empire can't go around killing people, man. That's how a rebellion gets started.
Yep.
You got to treat your people right. That's what it tells me. I thought it was fascinating though. This absolutely. Whole conversation. And I also wondered myself, like, can we trust this guy? Like, he's a turncoat. Why is he doing this? And I'm glad that they told us.
Absolutely.
Trust him as far as you can throw him. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Well, the next scene is focused on Gorn yet again. He informs some officers of painting work needing to be done since the Coruscant engineer will be arriving soon. Doing this painting job would prevent the officers from seeing the Eye of Aldhani, the only positive thing about being assigned to Aldhani, says these Imperial officers basically. Gorn acknowledges this, the officers' concern, and adjusts to allow them to see the Eye. So Gorn, again, just playing this Imperial role perfectly. I would assume there's no what's the word I'm looking for here, connections that these Imperial officers are making to Gorn being a part of a rebellion or something like that. He just seems to be playing the part. So really enjoyed this, but I loved this set. I loved getting to see inside the walls of this rebel base. Love that moment with Gorn. And I like how he walked away with kind of a smirk. I don't know if y'all picked up on that, noticed that. Yeah. And I don't really get the meaning behind that personally.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, tell me.
Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, well, it's because he's played them 100%. When he walked in there, he knew what he was trying to do. He was trying to get them to want to have a skeleton crew. So he played the game of, all right, well, everybody's got to be working hard. You ain't been doing what I've been telling you. And then they say, oh, well, we want to go to the blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, that's fine. Your choice.
Did they use the phrase skeleton crew?
No,
I don't think so.
Okay. No, I was about to say, if they did, I'm excited because, that's a title of a show we got.
No. What they say is like, least amount possible or something like that.
Sure. I got you.
But no, yeah, he smiled because he was like, gotcha. Because after that, you see the like gold or with credits or whatever.
Right.
So that's why. But
so I need to I don't know. Have y'all read any of the High Republic stuff?
Nah.
Nope.
Okay, I've read one and a half. I read one and a little bit of the second novel, but I need to very quickly, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on it because it's not overly relevant. But the Eye of the Nihil or if I'm even saying that right, in the High Republic, is this seat of power for the Nihil that are the main villains in the High Republic, the first novel, at least, and the second novel too. And I just, the idea of this star path unit being a big thing too, the hyperspace is still something being discovered at the time of the High Republic, and which is just a few hundred years before Phantom Menace. So, I'm curious if this Eye thing and their obsession with a Star Path unit has anything to do with High Republic canon, and I'm sure the High Republic folks out there could help us, come to a whatever on that. But anyway, I just keep thinking about that because I mean, it's I don't know how important it is to the overall canon at this point because I'm so behind. Probably will never catch up at this point. But all that to say, it's so hard to keep up with all those. And that's a different topic for another day, I guess. But all that to say, I'm curious if this Eye here on Aldhani has anything to do with the Eye of the Nihil in the High Republic. And if you're listening to this and you are watching this and you've read the High Republic books, please DM me on Twitter. They're open. Just let's talk.
Or just comment.
Yeah, comment down below for sure. Yeah,
100%. I would love to hear that information for sure. We need a High Republic fact checker for us for the show.
We do.
Because we're struggling.
I don't know anything about High Republic. Nothing. No, I know they started like phase 2 of it or something.
Phase 2 just began, but phase 1 was like 400 books and comic books. So it's like
they want that cheddar cheese, boy.
And they're getting it too. There's a lot of diehards out there. One guy, just real quick, at Star Wars Celebration, one guy cosplayed as Geode, which is just a big rock.
The rock, yeah.
And like he was on the stage, the main stage. It's like people go nuts for a rock. That's Star Wars, though.
Hey, good for them, man. I wish I loved things like that, like to that degree.
Fair enough.
No, I thought this was really cool seeing Gorn like kind of go around the base and like do 100%. His thing. And you see that he's legit, like he's high up because everyone's like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I thought that was cool.
He's playing the game. He's playing the game.
Perfectly too, I might add. Now we'll see if that continues into next episode.
He's dead.
Yeah, I think he is one that we can bank on being dead. Okay, Aldhani, we're still on that location. Skeen takes the Sky Kyber from Cassian's neck. As guns are almost ready to be drawn, something approaches in the valley, an Imperial shuttle. Skeen ends up giving the Kyber back to Cassian. Cassian then takes this as an opportunity to just be straight up and reveal why he's there. Simply put, he's there to get paid. And the crew is not happy about this whatsoever. Especially they're not happy with Vale for not sharing this information with them. But then they quickly get over it and they're just on to the mission. All right, let's continue. And I think Vale even says something like, you can chew on it when you get there. Basically.
I just want to throw something out there real quick on this. It just didn't vibe for me. I thought they got over it too quickly. Like they made a big deal about it. And then they were just like, okay,
yeah, whatever.
Let's keep going.
Well, and I think what Cassian says, though, is what flips the switch, because he's like, y'all can't lie. You're scared. This is the day before the mission. Y'all are trying to put, your fear into something.
That's true,
You're trying to put it on me. And I think he just calls him out, and they're able to be like, okay, wait a second. This dude's right. He's just doing what's best for him.
Why do y'all think
we're doing what's best for us?
Why do you think Skeen wouldn't let it be? Why do you think he was still like, I gotcha, ha ha ha? I don't understand at that point.
And I think it's because what Cassian said. I think
where he was so freaked out.
Skeen's freaking out and he's trying to put it somewhere.
Well,
when it comes on Cassian,
when it comes back to the end of the episode, I'm sure we'll get to this. He shares the story about his brother, and it's one of those. Okay, I was here, you were here, you came here. Let me meet you there.
Well, I get that. I just mean like, he's checking through his stuff. He's chirping him. He's like,
well, I wouldn't trust him either.
Tell us your thing. And then we're walking to the mission and he's like, aha, gotcha.
Well, I think he needed a moment. He needed an actual second to actually, attack him more or less. Because he got brought in 3 days before they're supposed to finish the job. I wouldn't trust him either.
I completely get that part. I was talking about like the timing of it just didn't flow for me. It's a nitpick, to be honest. Like it's a nitpick, but I just was like, dude, let it be, man.
In a show that has been slow and telling its story, this was a moment I could see someone viewing it as, oh, they got over that pretty quick. On to the next thing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, all right, we got guns drawn. Okay, never mind. We're good. Let's go. Like, okay, whatever.
You see that a lot. You see it a lot in movies, though. Westerns, gangster movies. That happens all the time. So it's a trope. It's for sure a trope.
I think story-wise, though, it was written as whatever Cassian said to him.
That's right.
Is what's supposed to click, and that's why they got over it so quickly.
I guess I wish it would have happened at the bait, like when they had their second or third interaction. Like, I wish he would have just been like, you know what?
It is. It's weird that he decides to confront him at this point on the way to the mission, where it's been shared that Cassian is their ride out at this point.
Yeah, like, dude, we're going to the mission. Just stop. But Cassian's words were gold. Like he, like you said, everything he said needed to be said. Look, I'm here. I'm just getting paid. Whatever. I thought it was great, but just
absolutely.
Weird.
All right. Well, we go back to Coruscant. This is our last check-in with the Mon and Perrin vibes here. Mon Mothma and Perrin appear to be leaving an event where Perrin is left out on a charitable work Mothma is now working on. Perrin then orders Cloris, their driver, to take the quote-unquote expressway. And now suddenly I'm wanting to know all of the route names of the Coruscant Airways. I want to know. I want to be able to watch Attack of the Clones and be like, oh, Anakin and Obi-Wan are heading down Broad Street or something like that.
They're on the expressway.
That'd be so cool. But I wish maybe the show should. I know we're going to get it because we've seen it in the trailer. We've seen Mothma at these events where she's talking to people. Like, we're going to get that eventually. But they're alluding to this event that both Mon Mothma and Perrin were at. I wish I had seen it, though. I wish we had seen it because she's taking off the earrings. Like, they're obviously getting ready to go back home. But
she had a great line where he's like, I didn't know about it. She's like, yeah, because it was charitable. Figured you didn't care.
Yeah.
Like,
again, showing insight in their relationship. I hate Perrin.
I retweeted something earlier today, and I'm going to go find it real quick and give credit to the individual. But they took a picture of them in the speeder. Excuse me.
I saw this. Yeah.
And it's so funny that it cracked me up. It's a Marriage Story poster. It's Marriage Story starring Genevieve O'Reilly and Alistair McKenzie, and it's just them in the back seat of the speeder, just mad. It's like, that's it's Marriage Story. And I like.
Why did he say take the expressway? Was that
he just wants to get home.
I just want to get home in a hurry.
Yeah, he just
was supposed to mean.
I think so.
I will say though,
were they going to the club or something? You know,
no, they're going home. He's like, I'm tired of all these goodies. I want to go hang out with Sly Moore and the Emperor. That's what he wanted to do. But I actually, for a second, thought that when they got on the expressway, we would see the temple, the Jedi temple in the background.
Ooh.
They didn't give it to us, and that's okay, because I don't think we're done at Coruscant yet. I would love to see it before it's all said and done.
I think
if they don't, that's okay. It's not a Jedi story, and if they don't have it, that's fine.
But again, it's one of those, you got to tip the cap to the fans. Come on.
Just have it in the background.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that sweeping shot we get in all three of the prequel trilogy movies. But if it's there and it looks like it's the where Palpatine's set up nowadays, totally okay.
Yeah,
but
getting the senatorial floor is going to be enough. Like, that's going to be pretty cool.
And that, man, to think that that's the first time we've been there in live action since 2005.
And we're going to see Palpatine be Palpatine up in there.
Hopefully, if not him, it's going to be one of his bureaucrats.
Every time I think, every time I think about how long it's been since we've been at Coruscant, I keep coming back to, we should have seen it in Rise of Skywalker somehow. You should have closed out the Skywalker saga going back to Coruscant in some way. But again, that's a debate for.
Let's not talk about that today. I have very strong feelings about that.
Yeah, we'll save that. We'll shelf that. DJ, add that to the long list of podcast episode ideas.
I've lost track, man. I don't even know anymore. So every time we say that, the first thing that comes to mind is something about Mace Windu, how he's still alive. Every time, because we've shadowed around that a few times.
That's true. Every single new Star Wars series is an opportunity to bring Mace Windu back from the dead,
or Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Jar Jar's still out there, ain't he?
Jar Jar is in every Star Wars project until he's not. That's how I operate.
I mean, like the world, like in the world, he's out there, right?
He after everything took place with Order 66, he very quickly was like knocked down a few pedestals, and now he's just a street performer on Naboo.
Yeah,
he did,
but he's still alive.
And didn't JJ want to show his bones in Force Awakens?
Yeah, I'm very sad about that. I had a friend who was at Galaxy's Edge this past week, and I asked him to see if they still had the Jar Jar Binks plush toys. They do.
Oh man, yeah.
And they're $23. So I was like, never mind. I can go to Chick-fil-A instead.
Oh, I thought that's cheap. I
thought I bought two of them, Jar Jar and Ahsoka.
I thought it was too, but like I was like, yeah, I'll wait till I'm there, because I'm going in this coming summer. Like,
have you ever been?
No, I'm very much looking forward to going.
Oh my God, you're gonna.
Have you been? Have you been, Zach?
Yes.
I didn't know you'd been there. Okay.
I'm going back in 2 months, man.
What?
I'll be back at Galaxy's Edge.
Man, get out
the last week of November. It's gonna be snowing on me.
That's cool. That's cool.
I fully am prepared to shed actual tears.
Oh, you will.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And like
guarantee.
I've told my wife that, and she's not a Star Wars nerd, and
she will love it too. I'm telling you.
I know she'll love it.
100%. Like I went with, in-laws that don't love Star Wars. They said even then it was still their favorite part. It's just so immersive. It's
my
wild.
wife was like, "This is incredible." She's like, "I'm not even really Star Wars, and it's incredible."
I'm already tearing up.
Yeah. You will love it. You will cry. You might pass out. Have someone to catch you.
I won't pass out if I know when I come around the corner, because I've seen people do the walkthrough on like YouTube and TikTok, and like you come around the corner, that's when I'm gonna probably be like, I don't know. I'm either gonna cry or run. It's just one or the other. I don't know.
You see Kylo up there doing his thing. You're like, oh my God. All right,
great.
That's a whole nother podcast too.
Add that to the list. Actually, I did do a podcast over that. I did a podcast over my experience at Galaxy's Edge. So
I got to be honest with you. I listened to that in spite of you.
Well, I was going like the week after you posted that, and so I was like, "Oh, this is so sick," and it lived up to it, man. Oh, it's so good.
It's fantastic. Although I do. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't. I know we're spending too much time.
I'm just like, anyway.
In hindsight, I shouldn't have mentioned the surprise in Rise of the Resistance for people that haven't experienced that yet, as far as the ending of that ride.
I think I skipped that part.
Okay, good. I'm glad you did. Anyway, let's get back to Andor episode 5. Okay, Aldhani. The crew makes it to the base and prepares to get a fire signal up. Gorn sees this signal, indicating that early positions are going as planned. Nothing really to add to that scene. Next up, Coruscant. Cyril Karn looks at a holographic image of Cassian, still reflecting on his failed mission, but I did spot an Easter egg here. It looks like he has 2 clone trooper figures kind of blurry in the background behind this holographic image. Absolutely love that. It's either clone troopers or stormtroopers, but as far as timeline goes, it would make more sense for it to be clones in my opinion. But love that. Obviously, Surreal is deeply, deeply impacted by his failures with Cassian. And I'm still conflicted with what this guy's future is, because it's also got to be weighing on his mind that Cassian basically had the opportunity to kill him, but he didn't. He ended up not killing him. So that's got to be conflicting to him too. So I don't know what's going on with Surreal, but this is the last time that we see him. So any final thoughts on Surreal that either of you want to share? Zach, anything that you want to add about Surreal?
I really, really like this character. I am fascinated by him. He might be one of the most interesting characters yet to me.
He's fantastic
because we don't even really know much about him, and I want to know, like, in the actor, like the way he portrays this like internal like confliction of he wants to get at Cassian. He also, like you said, wants to do the right thing, like in taking the troops down there, but at the same time he wants to rise up the ranks. Like it's this stuff. It's so fascinating. Absolutely. And so real,
Yeah, I agree. DJ, final thoughts on Surreal?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all have seen the Batman story, The Killing Joke, or not.
I know about it. I've never seen it though.
The animated version that's out there, I actually own the Blu-ray because Mark Hamill did the voice work for the Joker in that one, and I had to have it. But the main like crux of that story is all it takes is one bad day.
Yeah.
And that's what sent Joker over the edge in that story, is one bad day. And I think Karn's at that point. I think he has had that one bad day, and he's looking at this hologram of Cassian, and he's like, I got to get this guy. That's, if there's a Joker Batman story to be told in Star Wars, weirdly enough, it's here.
Hey, there you go.
And I'm saying that now out loud for the first time. But that's what I'm thinking of. He's going to have this obsession. It's serial killer like, it's I'm thinking of Jeffrey Dahmer because that's on Netflix right now. You think about these crazy people who do these crazy things. That's Karn, which is funny to say in light of TikTok. But all that to say, I think it just takes one bad day. Yeah. I mean, he's
and that look, that's a scary look. Like if he crosses Cassian in the street, he's killing.
I will say, going down.
This actor, after this show is done and over with, he's going to be getting phone calls and roles thrown at him
100%,
because he's going to become this catapulted new Star Wars actor no one ever heard of before, and now he's here, and
he's fantastic.
People may have heard of him before. I certainly haven't, and here he is.
I didn't.
He's wrecking shop, and it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking, yeah. To do that much acting with no dialogue and just to stare at what ultimately is nothing when you're filming the scene.
Yeah.
I mean,
good point. Great point.
Well,
I got goosebumps thinking about that. Actually, it's just that cool.
You're not the first to say that. I was talking about the other podcast I was listening to. He said the same thing. Like, that's what's so beautiful about the show. There's a lot of dialogue, but it's not just exposition. Like, he didn't say one word when he was looking at Cassian.
Nope.
And you knew what was going through his.
So much in that.
And I love it when people, or when directors let scenes marinate, and like you said, make us not feel dumb, right? Make it feel like we're smart too. Like, we can pick up on these things. And especially when it's subtle like that. Like, that was a quick scene. It was like 10 seconds of just him looking at the thing.
And it's one of those bullet points that we've spent substantial amount of time on compared to other.
It's so heavy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, continuing on, we go back to Aldhani. Skeen shares with Cassian that his brother, who was a farmer, was killed by the Empire. Here's the quote: Imperial prefect came in, took his land, flooded it. He couldn't bear it, so he went a boat and filled his pockets with stones. I always hated the Empire. I don't really know what to call how I feel now. Again, incredible dialogue. Goes back to this idea of everyone has their own rebellion. Cassian asks what kind of farm, and Skeen responds with trees, pepper trees, centuries of them. That's as close to an apology as you're going to get. Cassian says it's close enough. So seemingly these two have made up. When they go into the mission in next week's episode, they'll have each other's backs. I think that was kind of the arc here that was displayed between Skeen and Cassian, and I loved the dialogue yet again here. I want to see pepper trees now. I'm just intrigued. I want to see what that farm looks like. Anyway, thoughts, takeaways from this?
Sound like dialogue. It's underwater is what it sounded like.
Fair. Fair enough. I don't know if it exists anymore.
Great scene, I thought. Incredible. Just a perfect cap of the episode of him not trusting him laying this out. And I love how he says, like, Val wanted me to tell you this. Like,
right.
He's still kind of pushing it off, and he says, like, this is what you're gonna get. And then Cassian being the good dude, he's just like, good enough, man. Let's just do this thing.
I definitely appreciate the dialogue between the two and that they've reconciled the differences. I am not a fan of the way they went about that. I mean, yes, I know that we're making this a very real story. I watched Star Wars to escape, as most people do. I lost a family member to suicide this last year. And that's, it wasn't like this, but I think that there's a point where you have to stop and say, okay, how real do you want to make this fantasy? That's the line for me. And I doubt someone from Lucasfilm's actually listening to this. I mean, it'd be great if you were, so you could hear a perspective on it. And rightfully, probably by now you already have. But I think that takes the storytelling a step too far. This is about space wizards and tiny bears taking over, regimes. That's what Star Wars is ultimately about at the end of the day. And I understand that this is a more mature story for maybe even a more mature audience. I get that. But I'm still a kid at heart, and I love Star Wars, but I don't like this story. I don't want that in Star Wars. I realize it's a thing that can happen. And when Moff Gideon tries to go for it in Mando, when I initially saw it, it didn't do really anything to me. Having lost somebody to suicide now, it changes my view on that. And I understand that you want to be vulnerable in your storytelling as a writer, and I get that, and you want to make things real for the story you're telling, but this is too far for me. I'd say that is the biggest negative I've felt in this show. And I mean, I doubt that I'll become this, well-known voice speaking against this or anything, but I mean, for me, this isn't good. I don't like that.
I mean, I respect that. I mean, as a
yeah.
human being,
I
think we gotta
it.
respect that.
Well, and I appreciate that. And if somebody wanted to argue against that, I'm more than willing to have that discussion. It's not that I don't see the purpose and point behind it. I do. I just don't think that belongs in Star Wars. That's not what Star Wars is. Star Wars is supposed to be an escape. It's supposed to be fun. Tell stories, tell good stories. Okay.
Yeah.
You can say so-and-so died. We all die at the end of the day. I mean, we're all going to die eventually. Spoiler alert. But, I just don't like that. And I could go on and on and on, I guess, but I appreciate that there's a reason for them reconciling as characters. I don't like the reason. And if I could change one thing, it'd be that. So sorry to add such a somber note to the story, but
we want you to say it. Like, it's a perspective that 100%. I don't have, right? Like,
same.
Yeah.
My perspective on it is that makes me go, wow, that's why he really hates the Empire.
Yeah.
I didn't take it as a personal thing. Like, and that's exactly what you're saying. Like, where they're coming from, but for you, it didn't work. And for me, I was just like, oof, like, not great. Like, I could see that.
And just to add to that too, it's not something that I can speak to, but I saw it on Twitter. Somebody, and I respect it, somebody took issue to Dedra downing 2 pills to continue work, because there's people out there that really struggle.
I thought
with
the same thing.
Separating work and family life, and they get to the point where they have to rely on medication to help with that and cope with that. And there's some people on Twitter taking issue with that because it hits way too close to home. And again,
if you've watched
something that didn't bother me as I was watching it, but if it's somebody that has gone through that, I respect you struggling with seeing that depiction in Star Wars 100%.
Yeah, I don't like that either. I forgot about that. But
if you know me,
I haven't struggled with that. I maybe know one person in my life who has actually struggled with that. And that was so long ago that I completely forgot about it. The suicide thing is recent for me. I saw the pills and thought that's a bit extreme, but but immediately I thought of the Empire just being evil for whatever reason. That's what I thought of.
See,
sorry, Zach, go ahead.
I'm in this space where I don't want to sound like a bad guy, but I love that they showed that because it is real. That's a real thing. Like
Right, I get
people
that. I
popping
get that.
Adderall.
And that's
Like,
how I took it too. But
Yeah,
I didn't have a personal connection
and
with.
again,
with
I'm
that.
not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right.
Sure,
I'm just
yeah.
saying, to me, I loved that beat because I was like, "Ooh, this is heavy. Like this is
Yeah.
real." And
It's like, yeah.
to be honest, I noticed that more than I noticed the guy and the stones. Like I heard it and I was like, oh, that's sad. But with that one, I was like, "Ooh, what is she taking?" Like, like that.
Yeah.
I liked it because it gives even more realism to this show that has been trying to prove
see
itself
that perspective. Yeah.
as this isn't about space wizards and fantasy. This is about the gritty, we're going to kill people to win this.
It is the dark side of all of
it.
that. Yeah. And like, it's like, back to that point though, I get where you like, yeah, obviously I'm not even going to argue that. It obviously brings a great weight to the story, and that's fine. I like when stories give weight and meaning to what's going on. I don't think it needed those little notes. And it's like, if I want to watch a story about drug addiction, I'll go watch Dallas Buyers Club. If I want to watch a story about suicide, I'll go binge watch 13 Reasons Why. That, for me, it's not something that needs to be in Star Wars. And if I have to die on the hill, I'll die on the hill. But
it's whatever floats your boat, man.
But it's to
that's
your
a bad
point.
analogy.
But back to your, but back to your back to your point though, it does give this weight to the story, and that's the point they're making. I know they didn't write this to make people mad.
Sure.
I know they didn't do that. That probably wasn't their intention. If it was, that's messed up, but I doubt they did. But at the end of the day, you're going to have issues like that come up when you do things like this.
When you drop real world stuff like that, it's going to hit people differently. To me, I haven't been affected by it.
Same.
So it didn't hit me like that. You have. And so that's where you draw your line. That's okay.
Well, and I think this connects back to Zach's, one of your big takeaways of this series so far. These really serious things that a lot of people in life deal with, unfortunately, the storytellers, the writers putting this in this series is them attempting to get that HBO feel that you mentioned.
They're not shying away from it. They're not turning the camera, right? And I'm a sicko. I love that. But
I normally do love that kind of stuff. It just that moment, for whatever reason, I was like, I don't like that. It was one. But generally speaking, things like that have never really bothered me. Well, if it's relevant to the story, put it in.
I'm glad you brought it up though, because
100%.
I wouldn't have thought about it. So I'm glad you did.
That was my DJ. One of the first things that we said to each other as soon as we saw the premiere of this episode is I had to rethink what Star Wars was for this series, because the first moments were in a brothel, and never in Star Wars did I ever think that was going to happen. That just set the tone to what this show is willing to go to as far as storytelling.
You're right in retrospect.
Themes.
Looking back at it, you're absolutely right.
Great discussion.
At that
this
conversation.
is fantastic.
I love it. Give me the brothels. Give me all of it, baby.
Yeah.
Star Wars. Come on.
I need less. How about that?
All right. Well, we're close to our closing moments here of this episode. We're still on Aldani. One more thing. Taruman is now completely in charge as Vel avoids answering where she will be as she and Cinta go off. Anything y'all want to add to that? I really think that's just setting up next episode for the crew.
I thought it was interesting that she's like going off and doing something on her. Like, I was like, what's she doing? I thought that was interesting.
100%. Yeah. DJ?
Yeah. All just a setup, like you said. Yeah.
Okay. And then we go to our final moments on Coruscant, which is our only moments of this week's episode with Luthen. If I personally had a negative of this week's episode, it would be the fact that we only had one moment with Luthen, just because I have
totally
fallen in love with Stellan Skarsgård in this show. Luthen is listening for signals, and his coworker says, if you want to be useful, go clean some coins. The coworker basically reveals that she's in the know of everything whenever she says that Vel is the only one who traces back. Luthen is worried with how connected he is to Andor. Coworker says it'll all be over this time tomorrow. And then again, I love this dialogue. Luthen says, or it'll just be starting. And coworker with a smirk on her face says, or that. Lights go off. The stage has been set for this mission to go down in next week's episode. But we'll pause there as far as speculating for next week, and we'll just focus in on this dialogue for right now. Any big takeaways from this moment here with Luthen? Ooh, I just thought of one thing. Well, it just escaped me, so never mind. Maybe I'll think of it in a second.
That.
All right, y'all take it away. What did y'all think of the dialogue?
I thought it was fantastic.
Mm.
Probably my favorite scene of the show, or of the episode, not show, of episode. Because again, going back to dialogue and acting, this is the first time we have seen Luthen be human in the sense of like, he's freaking out. He is losing it. Like,
this is the first time somebody puts him in his place, too.
Like, he's trying to, yes, but he's like trying to listen to make sure like nothing's coming through and all this. Like, it's the first time we see him not be this, walking in with his cane and like, I'm ahead of this.
He's not a salesman in this moment.
Yes, it's him. And it's behind the curtain. He has no control at this point. He's done what he can. It's like watching your kids. Just you go, baby. You do your thing. Like, you're gonna freak out. And I love that the coworker's in on it, and the fact she can like kind of bounce off of him and be like, "Hey, like, there's nothing you can do. So let's walk off the ledge. Put the thing back in the case. Let's go on."
And you just made me think of what I blanked on there, as far as he's kind of like Skeen in a sense, connecting to Cassian, telling him, we're a day before the mission, so you're just freaking out. That's exactly what Luthen's got going on right now. We're a day before the mission, and he's absolutely losing his mind.
Even
and
says,
the coworker's there to calm him down.
I didn't realize how important this mission is. Like, if this mission doesn't happen, there may not be no rebellion. Like, I mean, that's the vibes I'm getting, in the sense of like, they have to have this money. Mon Mothma's struggling, doing these Switzerland accounts or whatever she's doing. Like, it brings even more weight to next week. Whew, can't wait.
100%. DJ, your takeaways from this scene.
This is, so to borrow a phrase, are you saying, Zach, that this mission is the spark that will light the fire that will burn the empire to the ground?
Yeah, 100%. And, I have always hated that line.
I hate it too.
I hate that line. It's way too clunky, way too long.
Too cheesy. It's said like 3 times in the whole movie. Like, we didn't need the reminder, guys. Okay.
100%.
This is Last Jedi, right?
Yes.
They're not.
I'll be the spark to light the fire, to join the flame. That it's like,
all right, nothing to do with Last Jedi.
That's just kidding.
Bad
I was acting
writing.
like one of those guys.
I agree. I have hated that line forever.
Yes,
I just say we'll be like the fire or whatever. Like, just
it's like at Galaxy's Edge.
It's kind of Hunger Gamesy.
Yes, it was feeding into the culture of the time, and it was terrible. That's what it was. No, my main thing here is that I want to give a reason. Go ahead, Caleb.
I was just going to say, Last Jedi always comes up when Zach's on the show somehow.
It really does. And I don't hate the movie. Like, the movie's fine. It's just like, there's these little things.
I love that. No, it is. There's a lot of little things there for sure. No, this is my main thing. I want to give a reason why Luthen is so worried beyond the obvious. Look, if somebody told me that Vel is Luthen's daughter, I'd believe them.
That's fair.
I've heard that theory, and I kind of subscribe to it a little bit.
Well, number one, they both look just so much alike. I mean, and that, I don't mean that in any kind of a disrespectful way at all. He's a light-haired.
Could be on purpose.
Yeah, light-haired guy, light eyes. He's got blue eyes, blonde hair. She's got blue eyes, blonde hair. I mean, she looks like she just walked off the set of Vikings from History Channel. She looks.
She's awesome.
She looks like she belongs as
Game of Thrones actress, by the way.
Yeah, and I knew that, but she looks like she should be a sheep herder in Scandinavia. That's what she looks like she should do, and that's basically what she's doing here, is pretending to be a sheep herder. I don't know where this was shot. I'm just assuming it's like in the British Isles or whatever. But
somewhere
all
beautiful.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, but you just their dialogue when he gets off the ship and Cassian goes with her. There's just something that she's not sharing. Not just to Cassian, but also to the group. I think that could be it. And I think that lends to why Luthen's so worried. I mean, can you imagine if Bail Organa had lived past the destruction of Alderaan and seen Leia go into Jabba's palace as a bounty hunter? I mean, he'd be freaking out. Like, you're not doing that, I mean, that's exactly what he would have done. And especially after seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's like, yeah, that's.
And this might even be more intense than that. Like, this, you're going into a heavily guarded base with like 5 people.
Yep.
And you're
Hey.
I definitely could see that. I didn't even think about that, but
Borrowing one more line, but this time from Rogue One, make 10 men feel like 100.
yeah.
That's what we're going to see. I saw someone put that on Twitter like 2 weeks ago.
Do y'all like that line?
Oh, that
I do
line's
like
incredible.
that line. That
Okay,
line's
good.
great. plus my boy Cassian said it. So
It's
like,
also not 400 words long like the other one.
we will light
Go ahead.
we will light the fire with the 10 that we have instead
That's
of the
what I
100
mean. We'll
that
light
we
the
should
fire
have.
to spark the flame that'll light the forest.
Isn't
and
that
it's
a
like,
thing at Galaxy's Edge too? Like if you like yell, light the fire, so everybody else is supposed to like yell
I didn't know
back.
that.
Something.
No
with the-
idea. I'm glad
Okay.
no one did it.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's
I would I would cringe
I
if
think
that happened.
I think that Disney's moving away from the canon of Galaxy's Edge by putting Boba and Mando and Fennec in there.
Good. That's fine.
I
I don't
think
care.
I was a
anyways.
little pissed about it, to be honest with you. But
Oh.
but
Yeah.
now
I
I'm
guess
like,
when you're
whatever.
there, like I know I'm at a theme park. I know I'm not on a planet, so I want to see Rey and Chewie
What?
and
You're telling me I wasn't in Star Wars when I went there? Come on.
Bull crap.
you know what I mean. Like
Y'all
I
are
paid
canon.
way too much money for that.
that's
to
what
not
I
be
mean.
in
Like,
Star
I'm not in canon, right? Now,
No,
I'm-
you
don't
are.
get me-
You
don't
are
get me-
canon,
I
Zach
guess I
Morgan.
am.
Yeah,
Now.
we're canon. We've been there.
Technically.
You were there. If you
But-
rode the Falcon, you did the Rise
I
of the
did
Resistance.
ride the Falcon.
You're
Yeah.
canon, baby.
we're
I mean,
canon.
you're
That is-
canon.
I
I'm
am.
not. I'm just.
I did
I'm
Rise of
still
Resistance.
I'm still Legends.
Rise
He's
of
the
Resistance.
EU.
Best
I'm the
best ride
EU,
on Earth,
yes,
by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Best
Right.
ride.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
But yeah.
How
no,
are we back to Galaxy's Edge?
because it's so good.
It is. It's
I
great.
had
No,
to bring
like-
it up.
I thought Luthen was amazing. I love him. He's my favorite character in the show. I love that we got him. I didn't even think we were going to get him this episode. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think we would either.
I thought it was good.
Okay. Well,
Great scene. Great scene.
that sets us for episode 6. I mean, are y'all fully on board with the mission's got to be going down, right?
At this point, I can't imagine them milking it another episode.
And it's the
Let's-
third
Yeah.
episode, right, of this new.
Yeah.
Of this arc.
So-
Yeah.
And the only way they don't do it is if they spend the whole episode on Ferrex, and I don't think they're going to do that.
God, I hope they
Coruscant.
don't do that. No, I
Maybe we
don't
could
think-
get
Well,
the
yeah, but they-
senatorial stuff with Mon Mothma.
Oh gosh, please don't milk it just for all the politics. It'd be so
Ah.
boring.
We won't. We're getting it. 100%. We're getting death. We're getting some. They're gonna do. I don't know if they finish the mission. Yeah, I think they'll. I think it'll
Yeah, I
all
think
be
so.
the next thing.
Oh, I'm
I
gonna tell
think
you
it
right
ends
now,
with, seeing that shot from the trailer with Cassian
He's
through
the
the
only one that
eye
ma-
or whatever.
he's the only one that makes it out. I think they're all.
I think
gone.
Vel goes with him. I think Vel's with him out of it.
She lights the cannon that like does the twirlies.
She lights the cannon that brings
Yeah.
the mission.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The,
I'm talking
location
about
down.
the lasers that shoot out of either side of that ship. Is she the one?
I didn't
controlling
see it on the trailer.
Oh, I don't
so
think
I
I
don't,
don't
want
think
to
that
ask,
ship's
like,
from this mission.
it? Okay.
I think that's later. I think that's later. We'll see.
I
though.
thought it was Luthen's ship, but who knows?
Maybe
I think Val survives, and I think she's the only one.
Vel and Cassian.
That'd be good. That'd be a
Okay,
good-
yeah.
good
I'm
dynamic.
struggling with Cinta too, though.
Mm.
Maybe,
Well,
though, I
maybe
think
Cinta
Cinta-
survives and Vel dies.
Maybe I
Is
can see that.
Are they like a thing? By the
I
way?
think they are. I think they
Okay.
are a thing.
Mm.
I think okay, I'll say this then. I think one of them dies for emotional impact while another one survives.
That's
and
what I
goes off
mean.
with
Like, so she
Cassian.
can tell the story and be
Sure.
inspiring, and it's
But
not
the
just
rest of the
Cassian.
boys, they're out.
Oh yeah, they dead.
Nimic, whatever his name, Nimic, I don't know.
Oh, I'm telling
Tarman,
you.
Gorn, Corn, Fair, I don't know
Karn!
all these names.
Yeah,
They're
Corn,
dead.
he did. Yeah, they all did.
Skeen,
but-
he's gone.
Dean gone.
Dean's gone. 100% he's gone. And so is the kid.
He's gonna be in like Cassian's arms too. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be one
Yeah.
of those.
The kid needs to just die immediately. Just
He's
bop,
going to. I'm
Like,
putting
if
my
he- he's
stamp
dead.
on it.
Well, he has to. I mean, he's too lovable. You can't have that lovable of a character and be a human.
Yeah.
He has to
And
be
he
a
cares
droid
too
or a
much about
Wookiee.
the rebellion. He's
Yeah.
not he's not gray enough.
And he'll die for it. You know.
Yep. Bingo.
He'd be perfect front line guy, and that's what he is. So it's great.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful.
Episode
Touche.
Episode 5, titled, what was the title again? The Axe of the Forest.
Axe
Forgets.
Forgets.
The Axe Forgets. It was
One of
fantastic.
The dopest names ever.
Admittedly, it was probably of the 5 episodes. I don't know. No, I don't think it was the worst of the bunch so far.
How
I
many
don't
episodes?
I don't like
was
using
ma-
that worst name because I've enjoyed every single episode we've gotten so far. If I'm
How
being
many
honest.
episodes was Mandalorian season 1?
8.
8, both of them.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go on a hill here and say this is the best Star Wars Disney Plus show.
Oh,
No.
you're talking to Mando talk here. The
I know.
Mandalorian.
Hot take. We're only 5 episodes in, but it's already way better written, way better directed.
That's coming from somebody who's not seen all of Clone Wars.
Sure, but
Because if you see all of Clone Wars and all of Rebels, you would probably recant that statement.
I said on Disney Plus.
I've seen all of Clone Wars and Rebels, and Mandalorian's better than those two in my opinion.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you watch Rebels and you watch Clone Wars, it makes Mandalorian the greatest show.
Oh,
ever.
I see what you're saying.
I see.
Greatest Disney Plus show for Star Wars.
Okay.
Andor's not there yet.
I think they're just two totally different things.
They are very different.
I think Mandalorian is what DJ wants Star Wars to be. I think Andor is what I want Star Wars to be.
That's probably really on point.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
where
that's fair.
Mandalorian is fantasy and cool and fun and exciting and adventure.
Pew, 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 pew.
And Andor is dark and it's real and gritty and serious.
I like the darkness of it. Rogue One's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It's not that I dislike it. Yeah, but you're right. Mandalorian, I'm wearing it. I mean, Mandalorian. Well,
that's what I mean. Like,
want. Yeah.
And Mandalorian is written in my mind. It's written like a fan of Star Wars. This is written like a dude who lives in Star Wars.
Okay.
I think that is the best way you could have said that.
I love it.
That's fair.
I
think Andor is also just playing so well because it's a great palate cleanser as far as like all of this traditional pew pew / Star Wars that we've been getting. I mean,
Star Wars has never been this.
Obi-Wan, like all this flashy Star Wars stuff.
Except for Rogue One, 100%. And obviously that makes sense, right? I think of them as one and the same, to be honest.
Okay. That's probably right on
fascinating.
Point, honestly. Yeah.
I love this show. I can't believe because I didn't give 2 craps about this show when they announced it. I got to be honest. I was like, oh God. Okay. And I can't get enough of it.
I've been floored from the beginning. And other than the couple of things I noted earlier, this is one of the best pieces of Star Wars storytelling. At this point, I'll just be, this is going to be a divisive statement. I think it surpasses Obi-Wan Kenobi at this point.
100%.
100%.
Obi-Wan, I love Obi-Wan. I love Ewan. I love Hayden. I even loved little Leia. I thought all of that was fantastic. The difference is that was just a little too much like Grogu and Mando.
Should have been a movie.
Here, absolutely. Here we've got no connection other than Rogue One, and it's beautiful.
Well, that's why it's so good, man. That's why it's so good.
Yeah.
We need to add this to the list, DJ. We need to do an Obi-Wan Kenobi 6 months later podcast because, man, I got some thoughts on it. I got some deep thoughts on that.
I need to rewatch Obi-Wan. I haven't watched it in a while.
I need to rewatch it too.
Yeah.
I loved it when I watched it.
We need to all 3 of us be on that one.
There you go.
I'd love to do that.
That would be fantastic. Perfect. All right, Andor. The great and fantastic thing about this is we're not even halfway through the show yet. 12 total episodes.
Crazy.
Obviously, next week will be the halfway point. Can't wait for episode 6. And I can't wait to hopefully, maybe we can do this again. Maybe we can pull it off to talk about Andor and all of its greatness by the time this entire show has come out. Maybe all 3 of us can come back together and discuss from there. But man, this was fantastic. I think, admittedly, this has got to be the deepest we've dove into an episode in quite frankly, a long time here at Mando Talk, with us 3 being able to get this done. So hopefully our audience, hopefully you love that. If you did, let us know. I mean, the more you let us know, the more likely it's possible for us to be able to get to do this again. I mean, if we're getting engagement with it, then that means we're going to keep delivering it. So that was fantastic. I absolutely loved every single second of that. Zach, thanks for coming on, man. Any final thoughts that you want to share with the people?
Just thanks for having me, of course. But this is why I want to come on the show. You guys always give me more perspective, and especially with a show like Andor, where we've never had this much to think about and chew on. It's been very, surface level stuff. And we're like you said, it's a 1 sentence, point on our list. And we talk about it for 30 minutes because it's so deep. And it's just so fun, and I hope everybody listening. This is a long one, but I hope everybody enjoyed it, and hopefully we can get back together, if anything, for the season finale. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Love
definitely need to do that.
DJ, final words.
Andor's great. I think it's a great show. And it's so much fun to look at it from a cinematic perspective. And that's my very cheesy segue. I'm asking whoever's listening to take a look at a new podcast me and some friends are starting.
There you go.
It's called Cinematic Theology. It's you'll know us by our profile picture. It's got three heads on it. 2 of them have beards and 1 of them doesn't, because one of the guys doesn't have a beard. A little bit. The little old band from Texas. But what we're basically doing is we're looking at movies, whether we've seen them before or not, and looking at them through a biblical worldview and seeing what we can learn about Christ and God through that. And I don't normally talk about that side of my life on Mando Talk, and I've kept it that way on purpose, but I just didn't want this to become a thing like that. And I wanted to just talk about Star Wars. But if you've ever wondered, how does a certain story relate to God? We're going to be doing stories like that on the show very soon. And we've already got a trailer episode out on pretty much every podcast platform. So it's separate from Mando Talk, but I'm still here. I'm still here to do Mando Talk. I'm still here to talk Star Wars. And I've been able to make sure that I've been able to keep that. So I get Star Wars here and other movies elsewhere. I love filmmaking, and I love talking about that. And our first episode, we're recording next weekend. So it'll be out hopefully before the end of November. We're going to drop like 4 or 5 episodes at once, but if you want to go check out it. Yeah. So if you want to, first movie, I'll say this real quick tease for our listeners. We're doing a 1956 movie called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Absolutely incredible movie. Never seen it before the other day. Loved it. And also the guy who made our music for our intro music, John Hare, he is on the show with me, and a good buddy of mine named Parker. So John and Parker and me will be on there. So if you want to learn more about that and check that out, by all means do so. But you don't have to. It's fine if you don't, but you should.
There you go.
And also subscribe to Mando Talk on YouTube.
Hey, 15 subs away from 300.
Come on.
300 deep. We're close.
15? Let's go. I know there's 15 of you listening. You better click it.
We're 15 away from storming the Persians, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Go.
And we lose, but that's okay.
Make
we will
15
fight in
feel
the
like
shadow.
300. All right, there you go. I don't have anything else to say after that, except follow Mando Talk at Mando Talk on Twitter. If you want more Star Wars coverage, if you want to break from Star Wars, I know you don't ever want to break. Star Wars is fantastic, but if you ever want to hear me talk about other franchises, other film, other television shows, get at me on TikTok exclusively at Casual Geek Clips, where I share my opinions, reactions, just anything really. They're clips of me just sharing my love.
Very well
other
done,
fandoms.
I might add.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very well
man.
done. Yes.
Appreciate that. There you go. Hey,
I'm not even schmoozing. I'm just being honest. Like, it's truly good stuff.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Hopefully you're enjoying Andor. We'll definitely be talking about Andor the next time we collectively come together for our hour-long podcast. But for some more Star Wars content, YouTube, I'm still trying to crank out Star Wars content weekly as well there. So again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Mando Talk. The link is down in the description wherever you're listening, and we'll appreciate that subscription. But now it's time for us to get out of here. Hopefully you have a good day, good week, good weekend, good month, good life, and we'll see you on the next one. And as always, we have spoken.